Today I want to get into what is behind the thinking process. What are thoughts? And you can't think without categories. And this is one of the great tricks of the mind, because categories feel like they're part of the world, but they're not. They're part of the mind. And a category is a mental box, a mental line or border that the mind draws and thinks that it's real, but so much of physical reality is continuous. So, for example, if you were complimenting a criminal, you might say, well, they're such a good con artist, they'll convince you that white is black. But white is black, and black is white. And what I mean by that is that physical reality is continuous. It's just how much energy is being reflected off an object. But the mind creates these categories. Think about, when does white turn into gray, then turns into black? It's so strange that a black piece of paper outdoors is actually more white than a white piece of paper indoors. And that's a whole lecture. But it's stuff we know about physical reality and what we know about our thinking, which the thinking imposes its own distinctions, its own boxes on reality itself. And when you get to the category of all categories, the feeling you have that you are separate from everything else, consider what happened with Joe Bolte Taylor, the neuroscientist who had a massive left brain stroke. And we know the left brain is the main neural substrate of categorical decisions and categorical judgments and categories themselves. And that's why it really is behind all of the thinking processes. And when her left brain went offline, she described it as, there's no place where I end and the rest of the universe begins. And so categories, and this would be the experiential exercise for you, consider any thought that you have and see directly for yourself how it absolutely depends on categories. So you say, I like my dog. Well, this is all a bunch of just categories put together, like versus dislike, dog versus everything else that isn't a dog. And there are all these distinctions that seem so real to us, whether it's countries or being rich or poor or being happy or sad. The mind is continuously taking the continual nature of a blended reality and putting it into mental boxes. And the problem with this, if you want to, I've been talking a lot about problems lately, the problem is that it's not reality. It's not real. And that's really all you need to see. As Alan Watts put it, a person who thinks all the time, or so we could say a person who categorizes or lives in a world of categories, that's all they do. And so they live in a world of illusion.